Iger has already started to do virtual meetings and phone calls with executives starting first thing this morning. I'm also hearing that the creative side of Disney in particular is thrilled with this change. One source telling me that there is great hope that Iger will restore a vision that prioritizes creativity over data. Another source using the word euphoric. I'm also hearing that there's been a lot of talk about Iger's history of disagreeing with Chapek's restructuring back in October 2020, which put creative groups at odds with the group making distribution decisions. I'm also hearing that there is an expectation that Iger could move quickly to amend the structure to closer to what it was before Chapek's restructuring. But on day one, Iger's challenges are far bigger and different, not just from where they were when Iger left in February 2020, and even when he stepped down as chairman at the beginning of this year with a far weaker economy. First, an ad recession will challenge both the company's linear networks and also the new ad-supported streaming service. Second, a pullback in consumer spending could hit the parks, the consumer products division, as well as streaming subscription dollars. And third, that streaming landscape, it's a lot more competitive than it's ever been. And since Chapek raised subscription prices, Disney may be at a little bit more of a disadvantage. So right now, Iger is working on morale, but he does have some tough decisions ahead about how much he's going to be investing in content and where those content investments will be, and also how he's going to handle those cutbacks that Chapek started to lay out. John?
Julia, you know I can't resist a contrarian take, right? So let me try this out on you. Bob Iger, without question, legendary media CEO, M&A track record, bar none, vision and taste unquestioned. But is he toxic for Disney at this point? He seems maybe like a helicopter parent who, got their kid into the best schools, into the Ivies, job at Goldman Sachs after school. But now that kid's moved back home because they can't do anything without the parent. Is that Bob Iger? I mean, he retired 4 times before he retired, right? He was supposed to retire in 2015.
He didn't technically retire.
Yeah, I know he didn't.
Talked about
he
retiring.
talked about it. He was supposed to go in 2015 and then 2016 and then so 4 different times he was supposed to. Couldn't leave. Said he wasn't coming back. Now he's back. He says he's going to be gone in 2 years, but that's just enough time to do Succession, which seems to be the one thing that Bob Iger is bad at.
So John, I would not use the word toxic. The people I've talked to this morning at Disney, the word I've heard in various forms is euphoric. Especially people on the creative side of Disney are very happy to have someone come back who's really going to be thinking thoughtfully about creative decisions. So I think that Bob Iger is certainly focused on morale. There is morale that needs to be boosted right now. In terms of this question of succession, the board made it very clear in the press release that came out that Iger finding and preparing a successor was the most important thing, in addition to stabilizing the company in these very tough and tumultuous and also uncertain times that we're in right now. So I think that there's no doubt that the focus is on succession. And I wouldn't be surprised if within a year we have a sense of who that successor will be. And there are a couple of people that come to mind. I've already been talking to some sources at the company about who might be a good fit as a successor. But I think the key thing about some of these
Did you get any names?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, talking about people like Dana Walden, Dana Walden is incredibly well liked. She's on the creative side. She understands the business. But this idea that she wasn't ready to take over the company right now, but with a couple of years, she would be perhaps prepared to take over. So that's one name I've been hearing a lot about right now.
But you've mentioned the creative